Hello, my name is Kelly Fox. This is Weaving the Magic, specifically the magic on the solar eclipse in the sign of Aries on April 8th, 2024. I am so excited about this whole entire energy. I'm going to share a little bit of my experience today, as well as the astrology, the symbolism, why I call it Weaving the Magic. And we'll start with just jumping into all of it, the symbolism of what this eclipse actually is. So this is a total solar eclipse. A total solar eclipse happens on a new moon. A new moon is when the moon typically is not illuminated by the sun at all. It's dark in the sky. It's just before you start seeing the crescent of illumination happening. New moons are when the moon and the sun are in the same constellation, in the same sign. But this new moon is a total solar eclipse, meaning the moon will be moving directly in front of the sun as we see it from the earth, therefore bringing in the symbolism of the moon taking precedence over the sun, of the moon being more visible to us than the sun, which is a really beautiful energy because in astrology, the symbolism of the moon and the sun are like two different halves or sides of ourselves, basically. The moon and the sun in astrology are called luminaries. We know that the moon doesn't directly create its own light, but it does reflect the light of the sun. So these two positions, planets, whatever you want, we call them luminaries in astrology. So the sun is the luminary that represents your outermost self, how you function in the world. This is what most people know about astrology is their sun sign horoscope. But this is only half of you. It's only half of how you function. If you're looking at, let me give you the other part of it, the moon, and you can piece it together. So the moon is the inner world. It's how you feel on the inside. It's your emotions. It's the parts of you that aren't functioning in the world, but they're functioning on the inside. So the sun is your ego. The moon is your subconscious or unconscious. The sun is your outer personality and the moon is your inner personality, how you feel yourself to be. When we look at astrology charts, we talk about like the big three, the sun and the moon are two of them. So when we're talking about this eclipse now, we're talking about the sun and the moon both being in the sign of Aries. So both luminaries, both the inner emotional world and the outer persona ego world are grounded, rooted, based in this sign of Aries. So what is Aries as an archetype? Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac. It's the first, so it's the first sign, meaning first, period. It's a fire element. It's initiating. It's passionate. Fire as an element has a conscious desire. It's got a want. It's got the move to get further, to create something. So it's this creative, passionate energy. It's called a cardinal energy because in the zodiac, you have 4 different signs that represent the onset of a new season. They're called the cardinal signs. That's the mode that they are. Aries is the sign that represents the oncoming, the initiation, the transition into spring, into blossoming, into blooming, into life being born and new things being created. So we're talking about also Aries is the concept of self. When we look at astrology, as I do, from the perspective of we chose as a soul to incarnate into this lifetime exactly as the person we are. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. This is like choosing our selfness. It's like choosing to embody a soul. It's the wanting to experience being a person, being a self, having an ego, getting to play the humanity game. So all of those things put together gives you the general idea of what this eclipse is about. It's about illuminating the inner and outer worlds, how I see myself, what is my soul choosing, how do I perceive myself, how do I show up in the world? How do I show up to myself? Am I authentic? Now, there's another component to Aries, being the warrior archetype. Am I fighting? Am I acting for myself? Am I making moves for myself? Or am I being the opposite of a warrior, or even those opposed by warriors? Am I being a victim? Um, there's a lot to look at in this archetype, and what this eclipse is bringing up to everyone is, how is this archetype showing up in your life? Now, if you are going to the Attica Solar Eclipse viewing party, I'm local to Batavia, New York. That's my hometown. Attica is real close by. Um, Attica Attica Field Days and Ascension Outpost are hosting this Attica's viewing solar eclipse viewing party. I'll be there in person, giving one-on-one readings as to where this is in your chart, how this is affecting your life personally. If you want to look for yourself, you're going to pull up your natal chart and look at the areas of where is the sign of Aries. Which is right here. Where does this sign fall in your chart, and which of these houses? And then you're going to need to know what the house means to make that association. Again, I'm doing these readings, so reach out to me if you'd like one, or if you're going to be at the eclipse viewing party, I will see you there. You can do that there. So this is going to vary slightly as to how this is showing up in your life, but it's around the concept of self. How do you see yourself? I'll give you the example of mine. In my astrology chart, Aries is up here in the 10th house. 10th house governs career. And then across from that, in my 4th house, which is about home and family, I have Libra. These eclipses that we are experiencing, the last eclipse we had was a partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Libra. Aries and Libra are directly across from each other, so they're related on a pole, if you will. How it's relating to me in my chart, between being in my house of career, legacy, how I'm achieving outwardly, how people are seeing me outwardly, and in my home and family affairs, is I'm learning how I see myself and how I can balance both being passionate about how I help people through these modes and means, and how I establish myself in a career sense, versus my role as a mother and how I am in my home and my family. I have a 4 month, almost 5 month old, and a 5 year old. And so being a mother is a big part of my personality. It's a big part of my daily affairs, but so is the passion, and so is the things that I'm trying to do in my life outside of being a mother. So it's about, for me, balancing those two identities in my life. Depending on which houses Aries and Libra fall within your chart, that's where this eclipse energy is showing up. I will say this as a general note. Um, this eclipse, and I'm going to keep this video short, this eclipse is one of those ones where, if you've been doing work on yourself, if you are a person who has cultivated humility, if you've been doing the shadow work or the inner child work or the parts work, or if you've been in counseling, if you've been in therapy, if you've addressed your traumas, if you've addressed your biases, if you've been looking at yourself throughout your life, this is going to affect you. But hopefully you feel the other part that's coming in, which I'll get to in a minute, which is Pisces. The other part reminding you that while it's important to look at ourselves and act in right relationship with ourselves and others in the world, we're not doing this whole thing alone. No one's judging us. This isn't about knocking anyone's ego down a peg. It's just about assessing, where do I fall in the hierarchy of needs between myself and other people in my life? Am I valid? Am I important? Am I important enough to care about myself? Am I important enough to go to war for myself if need be? Now, I'm starting to bring up these topics because not only are the sun and the moon together for the solar eclipse, but they are conjunct, which means exactly aligned with Chiron, which is an asteroid that symbolizes a wound. Chiron, the wound, being in the sign of Aries, is the wound of selfhood. It's the wound of not knowing self, not seeing self, not having right relationship with self. Again, this depends on, for you personally, how everything's aspected or set up in your chart. But with the sun, the moon, and Chiron all on top of each other, it's saying Where is the wound of self? Is it how you see yourself in relation to others? Is it yourself on the outer? Are you not being authentic to who you are on the inside? Are you not in touch with who are you on the inside? Have you looked at yourself? Have you addressed any wounds around how you like do you sit in a humble stance with the universe saying, who I am right now is exactly perfect for the path that I'm on at this exact moment? I'm no better or worse than anyone else. I'm different and unique, but I'm not special. Like, are you in well adjusted humility? And this is not a judgment. I flux in and out of this state all the time. We're human beings, we're meant to. This is a time, this eclipse is a time to review that, to look at where you are in your life with that and how it's falling with you. Um, Venus also just moved into Aries. It has just completed its cycle through Pisces. So, Venus being the planet of, uh, I know how to have, I know how to hold for myself, I know how to attain and keep luxury and care and tenderness and nurture for myself. Just got done in Pisces, which is the sign of togetherness, of unity, of watery emotional oneness. So Venus is coming into Aries, into the emergence of self with this very full wisdom of I'm not alone. I'm not doing anything alone. I don't have to be a warrior and I'm the only one fighting or rallying for myself. Venus really just cultivated a sense of community through Pisces and is bringing that into this Aries season. So this signifies to me like really getting all of yourselves on board. The outer, the inner mother, the nurturer, getting in touch with all of yourselves. Which, as I speak this, this wasn't even intentionally going to be a plug, but I'm releasing a course called My Sacred Moon, which really is aimed at exactly that, viewing all the aspects of selves and bringing them together so that you can cohesively move through your day to day feeling less scattered. Anyways, there will be more information about that. But Venus is really bringing in that wisdom from Pisces. Also in Pisces, you've got Mars and Saturn right on top of each other, conjunct, saying, don't try to act too fast. This eclipse is a time for review. Just be taking a look at yourself. Just be taking a look at, can you elevate your self esteem? Should you level out your ego? Where are you? Pisces is bringing in the, are you doing that with a structure and an activist heart of compassionately caring about yourself and other people but yourself? Are you being divinely selfish? Are you taking divinely selfish action to restructure your life so that it feels good for you? Because the universe, God, source, creator, I feel wants that positive creation spurred from love, more love, create from love, restructure from love, reevaluate from a place of love, get to the perspective of love, and take action from there. Um, Create the new basis of your own self identity from a position and perspective of loving yourself as the strongest thing you can do. The greatest thing you can do is love yourself. The greatest thing you can do is have compassion for yourself. The greatest thing you can do is learn to know yourself through the eyes of love and then take action. And those actions won't be squandered, it will be for something. This eclipse season is meant to spur something in you. Mercury is coming into play here, with Mercury being retrograding through Aries, which means apparently seeming to move backwards through the sign of Aries. So it's coming back towards this eclipse point. Mercury is the planet of communication, of understanding, of learning, of curiosity as well. So get curious. Allow yourself to ask yourself questions. Allow yourself to evaluate fully, where am I? How do I stand within my own eyes and estimation? Am I doing that with love? Am I taking that look with love? Um, New moons generally being a really good time to plant seeds of intention. I wouldn't recommend starting any new projects right now, but I would certainly say a prayer. Hold in your heart the intention of seeing yourself in right relationship with yourself. Don't worry about anyone else. I want to see myself in all beautiful humility. I want to see myself as the child of Creator, as the Creator, as the love, as the product of love, and the creating love being that I am. Please help me. That's my prayer through this eclipse season. Show me in totality, leave nothing hidden. Allow my emotions to come to the forefront, the moon. Allow my emotions to hide away the need for an ego, the need for actioning with the sun. The let the moon nurture, fade away the harshness of the bright sun. Let all of this blinding distraction around me fade away. Let me sit with myself in the dark of the moon, in the shadow of that comforting light, and really see who I fully am. That's what I feel that this eclipse is asking us to do. So that's what I wish for everyone. I know that I've been taking the time to do myself. I've been wanting to make this video for maybe the last 2 weeks in preparation, but it's been hitting me. I'm a deeply emotional person. So the energy of this eclipse has been really, really intense, really, really intense. And I've been doing a lot of work in the Aries area of my life for a long time up until now. And so I'm feeling this like final surge of like, wow, that's in your face, and a sigh of relief. And I hope that there's a lot of people on my same boat as well. And if you're not there, or you want to see how this is impacting you, or you want to see how you can work with the energy in your chart, please reach out to me for a one-on-one reading. I believe that's all I wanted to share on this topic. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm wishing you all a beautiful eclipse. Take care.